One of the most consistent themes that we find in ancient culture, the idea that there is another world.
Somewhere beneath our feet, untouched worlds have been hiding for thousands, maybe millions of years. When the ground gives way, swallowing entire landscapes, it doesn't just reveal empty caverns. Scientists have stumbled upon ancient forests teeming with life they thought had vanished.
Scientists have discovered ancient forests they thought were extinct in several sinkholes hidden deep in the mountains.
Steep limestone cliffs drop into darkness, leading to caves filled with eerie relics. Bottomless pits in Kentucky, abandoned mines, and bones stripped clean by prehistoric hands. These are the Earth's most chilling lost worlds. Let's start with one of the most bizarre and controversial ideas out there, the Hollow Earth theory. According to believers in the Hollow Earth theory, our planet is more like a shell with a massive, unexplored world beneath our feet.
We have just scratched the surface of the Earth. We drilled down and we had to stop because it got too hot. Out of 4,000 miles, basically, to the core of the Earth, we went down 8. That's nothing.
Supposedly, enormous holes at the poles lead straight inside. But if you were flying over one, you wouldn't even notice. It's said that pilots unknowingly slip past the threshold, their compasses twisting as they follow an invisible magnetic rim. That's why no one ever finds these supposed entrances, because they never realize they're inside. This idea took root in the 1800s when John Cleves Symmes, an ex-military officer turned obsessed lecturer, made it his mission to convince the world that the Earth was hollow. He believed entire lost civilizations, strange creatures, and uncharted landscapes thrive beneath us.
One of the challenges was trying to figure out what was the real structure of the inside of the Earth. He had a fascinating theory of not just a hollow Earth, but an Earth with multiple layers.
He was so sure of it that he proposed an expedition north, hoping to track migrating animals he believed were slipping through the hidden entrance. The trip never happened, but the theory stuck around, inspiring countless stories, conspiracies, and even legends of underground realms. Some say there's more than just polar entrances. Smaller gateways are scattered across the planet. One of the most famous? Kentucky's Mammoth Cave, the longest cave system in the world, stretching for over 400 miles and counting. It's a place of deep, endless corridors with names that sound straight out of a nightmare. Haunted chambers, the giant's coffin, and the bottomless pit. Back in the 1800s, tour guides used these names to spook visitors, spinning stories about lost souls and hidden worlds beneath their feet. But one particular spot stands out, Symmes's Pit. Named after the same John Cleves Symmes who preached the Hollow Earth theory, this dark chasm was whispered about as a possible gateway to the underworld. Most dismissed it as nonsense. But when explorers like Robert Montgomery Bird warned visitors to stay away from the pit's edge, claiming its true depth was unknown, even skeptics had to wonder, where did it really lead? Across the ocean in Somerset, England, the Cheddar Gorge Caves hide something just as eerie. These caverns, carved by an ancient river, are filled with jagged stalactites and looming rock formations. But their most chilling discovery isn't the caves themselves. It's what was found inside them. In 1903, archaeologists unearthed the remains of a man who lived 9,000 years ago. Known as Cheddar Man, he is Britain's oldest complete human skeleton, but he wasn't alone. Scattered nearby were bones that told a much darker story. Some had been stripped clean, not by animals, but by human hands. Evidence of prehistoric cannibalism. It paints a brutal picture of survival thousands of years ago, when desperate times may have forced people to make unthinkable choices. If ancient cannibalism wasn't unsettling enough, let's talk about a cave with an even more chilling name, the Cave of Horrors. Hidden near the Dead Sea in Israel, it earned its grim title for what was found inside. Back in the 1960s, researchers uncovered the skeletal remains of 40 Jewish rebels who had taken refuge here centuries ago, only to be massacred by Roman soldiers. But that wasn't the only discovery. In 2021, fragments of the Dead Sea Scrolls were found deep within the cave. These ancient texts, first uncovered in the 1940s, have fascinated historians for decades, holding secrets about early religious practices, forgotten writings, and the beliefs of civilizations long gone. Yet as incredible as the scrolls were, they weren't the most unsettling thing inside. Near them lay the mummified remains of a young girl, her body preserved for over 6,000 years. Who she was, how she died, and why she was placed there remain unanswered mysteries. But sometimes the most unsettling mysteries aren't buried in ancient caves or hidden beneath the Earth's surface. They're right beneath our modern cities. That brings us to one of the strangest and most controversial places of all, the Denver International Airport. If half the stories about this place are true, then it's not just an airport. It's a fortress of secrets. People claim there's something sinister lurking beneath the runways. Hidden chambers, underground bunkers, and labyrinth-like tunnels stretch beneath the airport, and no one can seem to agree on what they're really for. Some say they're shelters for the world's elite in case of global catastrophe. Others insist they house something even stranger: alien specimens, classified experiments, or even reptilian overlords pulling the strings of world governments. Even the construction of the airport raises eyebrows. It was delayed, massively over budget, and filled with strange design choices that don't make a lot of sense. There's even a time capsule on the property, supposedly containing mysterious symbols tied to the Freemasons, who, as conspiracy theorists love to remind us, have long been linked to the Illuminati. Could the airport really be a secret hub for the elite? Or is it just a case of wild speculation running out of control? Beneath the airport, there are said to be secret bunkers, a network of tunnels that some believe hide anything from alien specimens to lizard people. These bunkers are meant to serve as safe havens for the world's elite in the event of an apocalypse. Now let's turn our attention to one of the most haunted mines in America, Sterling Hill Mine in Ogdensburg, New Jersey. This place runs deep, more than 2,500 feet down, with tunnels stretching for miles. When the Sterling Hill Mining Company opened it in 1897, they had high hopes of striking it rich with zinc and iron. But instead of wealth, the mine delivered something else: danger. Over 90 years of operation, at least 77 miners lost their lives, and those deaths left behind more than just a tragic history. Today, visitors claim the mine is alive with something unnatural. People have reported the sounds of footsteps echoing through empty tunnels, whispers coming from the dark, and voices calling out when no one else is around. Some even claim to have seen the ghostly figure of a miner, still carrying his lantern, wandering through the tunnels like he never left the job. Then there are the more physical encounters, cold, unseen hands pushing or grabbing at people as they make their way through the mine. Whether it's tricks of the mind or something much darker, one thing is certain: Sterling Hill Mine doesn't let its past rest easily. Now let's talk about another chilling legend: the ghost of Magma Mine, known as White Boots. This story comes from the San Manuel Magma Copper Mine in Arizona, but variations of it have been told in mines all over the world. The legend began with a tragic accident. A miner was killed in a horrific incident, his body so badly mutilated that only his upper half was ever recovered. His legs never found. Not long after, strange things started happening. Miners swore they saw a pair of white boots walking, sometimes even floating through the tunnels, as if searching for the rest of their missing body. Others reported seeing distant lights flickering in areas where no one was working. One miner even claimed he spent an entire shift alongside a man he didn't recognize, only to find out later that no one else had been assigned to his level. And the mine had its share of real-life tragedies too. In 1956, a worker was crushed by runaway ore cars, just one of many deadly accidents over the years. Whenever something went wrong, machines failing, tools going missing, workers would blame white boots or one of the other restless spirits believed to haunt the mine. One of the eeriest first-hand accounts comes from a former miner named Ernest Granillo. He recalled a night in August 1966 when he was nearly crushed by falling rock. He had followed every safety procedure, but as he crossed a grizzly, an iron platform above a drop point, a massive rock large enough to bury him broke loose. At the exact moment it should have hit him, he felt someone grab him and yank him to safety. But when he turned around, there was no one there. Leaving the mines behind, let's move to a different kind of underground mystery: the Columbia Catacombs in South Carolina. Beneath the streets of Colombia lies a vast network of tunnels that no one really knows the full history of. They were originally built in the late 19th and early 20th centuries for practical uses: storage, utilities, maybe even shelter. But as time went on, the stories got darker. Some believe the tunnels were used during Prohibition, a hidden highway for smuggling illegal alcohol. Others say they became a haven for criminal activity, with stolen goods and possibly even people being moved through the underground labyrinth. And then there are the more sinister theories, the ones that suggest the catacombs held secret meetings for powerful, shadowy groups, or were even the site of human sacrifices. Most of the entrances have been sealed off now, but that hasn't stopped people from trying to explore. The problem? Large portions of the catacombs remain unmapped. Once you step into the darkness, there's no telling what or who you might find down there. But if you think that's unsettling, wait until you hear about Oak's Pit. This abandoned mine near Barnsley, England, was the site of one of the worst mining disasters in British history. In 1866, a fire damp explosion triggered a massive underground fire that burned for days. The entire mine collapsed, killing 361 workers and even some of the rescuers who tried to save them. Around 100 tons of coal came crashing down, sealing the entrance and trapping the bodies inside. For years, locals avoided the site, saying it was cursed. But in recent years, a group of paranormal investigators, known as Paranormal X, decided to test that theory. Armed with Ouija boards, spirit boxes, and a supposedly haunted doll, they ventured into the ruins to make contact with whatever still lingered. What they found convinced them that something unnatural was still present. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, the land around Oak's Pit carries a history of tragedy that refuses to be forgotten. So with all that said, what are your thoughts? Tell us in the comments below, and we'll catch you in the next video. Subscribe to the channel, and thanks for tuning in.